are two schools, basically, of constitutional law. There's the one school that essentially says the Constitution is a static document and it will forever never change. It is what it is. Well, we know from the history of the world, and one can Google it all day, buy books, study it, however they want to look at it and learn it. When governments behave in a static, it's never going to change way, essentially the government becomes extremely brittle, and then over time it breaks. And usually when we say it breaks, the way it breaks results in things like civil wars, dictatorship types of overthrows, tremendous amounts of bloodshed. I mean, it doesn't just peacefully break like a piece of spaghetti. I mean, when I say, when folks are holding steadfast to an outdated viewpoint, when it breaks, it means bloodshed across a very, very big section of society. Now, the other school of thought in constitutional law is essentially the Constitution is a living, breathing document that must be flexible and adapt to the circumstances as time rolls on, so to speak. So I've looked at both sides of these camps. I mean, as the voters know, at this point, I've got 3 law degrees. I've passed a couple of bar exams. I've been in and out of the law field of my life. I've looked at these issues from the point of view of America, from the point of view of our forefathers in England, for example. I've looked at these very issues going back 1,000 years. And I can tell you that we want a constitution that is a living document because the world is changing. And if one doesn't believe the world is changing, then one's been living underneath a rock or in their house for a little too long. Go walk around the neighborhood, okay? So we need a constitution that's a living, breathing document. Now, going one step further, I'm going to bash the Republicans here because the Republicans have actually done a very, very good job across the state legislatures pushing this concept that the Constitution should never ever change in any way, shape, or form, and they have restricted a more economically bountiful society, as an example, with this stubborn, anachronistic adherence to the static Constitution. And so they're very guilty of that on that particular front. Don't get me wrong, Republicans do good things too, but just on this one issue that we're talking about, which is a broader view of term limits and how we deal with the Constitution, the Republicans are not the friends of the independents on this issue. They're not the friends of most Americans. We must change, and there are many, many areas that we need to change in. Like, for example, let me just give you one quick example here. The recent Supreme Court overruled EPA regulation. Oh my God. These guys have been living in their law books for too long. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has a big part to play in global warming. Okay, we have to keep our fresh water available. We need to clean our streams and oceans. We need to clean, the mountains, the vegetation. We need to keep people safe, animals safe. I mean, there's so many different issues. And to think that in 2022, the Supreme Court would make it hard for the EPA to do their job, or in fact overrule their authority, there's just no place for it. There's absolutely no place for it. And that's just one good recent example of where the Supreme Court has failed every American in a very obvious and bad way.